I'm 32 years old, and I've spent the last 3 days staring at my reflection in a hotel bathroom mirror, trying to recognize the person looking back at me. The face is mine, same brown eyes, same slight scar above my left eyebrow from a childhood bike accident, same perpetually tired expression I've worn since my late 20s. But something fundamental has shifted beneath the surface. 3 days ago, my marriage didn't just end. It exploded. Publicly. Spectacularly. In front of 5,000 strangers who thought they knew us, thought they understood our relationship based on carefully curated snapshots and performed authenticity. My wife Sarah is 29, though she'd probably correct me now and insist I call her my ex-wife, even though the paperwork hasn't caught up to the reality yet. For the past year, she'd been building what she called her brand, her platform, her voice. It started innocently enough, the way these things always do. A few posts about our life together, some thoughts on budgeting and meal planning, self-care Sunday routines documented with flattering lighting. Harmless. Relatable. Then the followers came. First dozens, then hundreds, then thousands. Then came the ring light, the tripod, the filming schedule, the constant awareness of angles and lighting and engagement metrics. Then came the belief that our private life was public content, that our marriage was material to be mined, that authenticity meant performing our relationship for an audience that had absolutely no stake in whether we succeeded or failed. She called herself a lifestyle influencer, specializing in what she termed real talk about marriage, personal finance, and wellness. 5,000 people tuned in regularly for her insights on making relationships work, managing money responsibly, and living your best life. She posted about date nights and budget spreadsheets, about communication techniques and savings goals. Her followers loved her. They trusted her. They saw her as someone who had it all figured out, someone who could guide them through the messy reality of adult life with wisdom and grace. The irony of what I'm about to tell you could kill a person. The day that changed everything started normally enough. I work as a project manager for a mid-sized construction firm, nothing glamorous but it pays well and keeps me engaged. That particular Tuesday had been brutal from the moment I walked in. We were 3 days from a major deadline on a commercial development project, the client was breathing down our necks about every minor detail, and my site supervisor had called in sick with what he claimed was food poisoning, leaving me to handle both our jobs simultaneously. By the time I left the office at 6:45, my brain felt like television static and my shoulders carried the weight of 10,000 small stresses. I pulled into our apartment complex parking lot at 7:04 in the evening, sat in my car for a moment gathering the energy to climb 3 flights of stairs, and checked my phone one last time before heading inside. That's when I saw the text message from our landlord, Gerald, a retired postal worker in his 70s who owned our building and 3 others in the area. The message was short and to the point, rent still hasn't posted. It's the 5th. Let me know what's going on. My stomach dropped in that particular way it does when you realize something is wrong but don't yet understand the scope of the problem. I'd sent my half of the rent, $950, on the 28th of last month, exactly like I did every month. Early, even, because I never wanted to risk being late. Sarah was responsible for her half. We'd had this arrangement since we got married 2 years ago, a system that had seemed perfectly reasonable at the time, split everything 50-50. Bills, rent, groceries, utilities. Clean down the middle, no ambiguity, no resentment about who was carrying more weight. We each had our own checking accounts for personal expenses and one joint account specifically for shared costs. It had worked perfectly for 2 years. Or so I thought. I climbed the 3 flights of stairs to our apartment, key already in hand, mentally preparing to have what I assumed would be a straightforward conversation about a banking error or missed transfer. The door opened to a scene that had become intimately familiar over the past year, Sarah positioned in the living room, our sectional couch pushed slightly to the left to make room for her filming setup, her ring light blazing like a miniature sun, phone mounted on a tripod at precisely the angle she'd calculated captured her best side and made the room look more spacious. She didn't look up when I entered. Her attention was completely absorbed by her phone screen, scrolling through something, previewing how she looked on camera, adjusting the angle by millimeters. "Hey," I said, dropping my work bag by the door with perhaps more force than necessary. "Long day." Nothing. No acknowledgement, no greeting, not even a glance in my direction. She was in her pre-filming zone, the mental space where the rest of the world ceased to exist and only the content mattered. I headed to the kitchen, pulling ingredients from the refrigerator. Tuesday was my night to cook, we rotated that responsibility too, another 50-50 split. I was thinking pasta, something quick and comforting that wouldn't require much mental energy. As I filled a pot with water, I called out toward the living room, keeping my voice casual. "Hey, can we talk about the rent?" Silence. The water ran loud enough that maybe she genuinely didn't hear me. I turned off the tap and walked back to stand in the living room doorway, pot still in hand. "Did you hear me?" She glanced up briefly, irritation flickering across her features like summer lightning. "I'm busy." "I know, but this is important." The landlord texted. Rent was supposed to be paid on the 1st. It's the 5th now. She waved a hand dismissively, her attention already sliding back to her phone. "I'll handle it tomorrow." "You said that yesterday. And the day before. And I'll say it again tomorrow if you keep nagging me about it right now." I felt the familiar tightness in my chest that had become increasingly common over the past few months, that sense of walking on eggshells, of never quite knowing which conversational step would detonate the hidden mine. Every discussion felt fraught, weighted with subtext and performance. "I'm not nagging," I said slowly, carefully. "I'm asking a legitimate question about our shared financial responsibility. What's going on? Did something happen with your account? Is there a problem with the transfer?" That's when everything changed. She reached over with deliberate slowness, tapped her phone screen, and turned the camera to face me directly. The little red dot appeared in the corner of her screen, bright and accusatory. She was live. Broadcasting. Performing. "Say that again," she said, and there was something in her voice I'd never heard before, something that made my blood run cold. A strange mixture of triumph and malice, wrapped in a smile that didn't reach her eyes, coated in a tone of manufactured victimhood. "Tell everyone how you're harassing me about money the second you walk in the door. Tell them how you can't even let me breathe, can't give me 5 minutes to myself without demanding to know where every single dollar goes." I stood frozen in the doorway, still holding the pot of water like an idiot, staring at that red recording dot. Behind me, I could hear the burner I'd left on beginning to heat up, a faint clicking sound that felt like it was coming from another universe entirely. "Are you live streaming right now?" The question came out flat, almost robotic. "My followers deserve to see the real you," she said, and her voice had taken on that particular quality she used for her most serious content, the tone that said this was important, this was real talk, this was truth being spoken to power. The controlling, financially abusive husband who tracks every dollar I spend like I'm a criminal. Who won't let me have any independence or make any decisions. Who makes me account for everything like I'm a child instead of his equal partner. My mind raced, trying to process the absolute insanity of what was happening. We were having what I thought was a private conversation about a practical issue, rent, bills, basic adult responsibilities that we'd agreed to share equally. And she'd weaponized it. Turned it into content. Transformed it into evidence of abuse that didn't exist, performed for an audience that knew absolutely nothing about us except what she chose to show them. "I'm not tracking your money," I said slowly, acutely aware that every word was being recorded, broadcast, judged by thousands of people who knew nothing about our actual relationship except the carefully curated version she presented. "I'm asking why our rent isn't paid. Your half was due. Mine's already sent. This is about shared responsibility, not control." She rolled her eyes dramatically, a gesture clearly performed for her audience rather than genuinely felt. "See what I mean? Your half, my half. He's completely obsessed with splitting everything down to the penny. It's exhausting living like this. Like we're roommates keeping a ledger instead of married partners who trust each other." I could see her phone screen from where I stood, could watch the comments rolling in like a tsunami of judgment. "Girl, run. This is financial abuse. Classic red flag behavior. You deserve so much better than this controlling BS. He sounds exactly like my ex. Get out. Document everything, sis. You're going to need it." Hearts and supportive emojis flooded the chat faster than I could track them. Her follower count ticked upward in real time, 5,001, 5,002. This was engagement. This was viral content. This was her winning, her narrative triumphing, her version of reality being accepted as truth by thousands of strangers. Something inside me clicked into place. Not anger, exactly. Anger is hot and impulsive and destructive, the kind of emotion that makes you say things you regret. This was something colder, clearer, more purposeful. Like a lock tumbling into place, or a complicated equation finally solving itself after weeks of failed attempts. She wanted to expose me? She wanted to show her followers the real story? Fine. Let's expose the actual truth. 3 weeks earlier, I'd been looking for a stapler in our home office. We had a small second bedroom converted into a workspace, really just a desk, a filing cabinet, and what Sarah called her content creation station, a vanity mirror surrounded by lights where she filmed product reviews and makeup tutorials. I needed to staple some documents for a work presentation, and I couldn't find our stapler anywhere in the usual places. I started methodically checking drawers. Top drawer of the desk, pens, paper clips, sticky notes, the usual office detritus. Second drawer, old receipts, takeout menus, charging cables for devices we no longer owned. Bottom drawer, stuck. I pulled harder, and it gave way suddenly, violently. Paper spilled out in a cascade of white envelopes and folded statements that had been shoved in carelessly, desperately, like someone trying to hide evidence of a crime they knew would eventually be discovered. Credit card statements. Multiple cards, all in Sarah's name, none that I recognized or knew existed. We each had our own credit cards for personal expenses, mine for work costs and my own purchases, hers for the same. But these were different. Different banks. Different account numbers. Cards I'd never seen her use, never heard her mention. I sat down on the floor of the office and started reading, my hands beginning to shake as the scope of what I was seeing became clear. March statement, $3,247.82. The charges told a story I didn't want to believe. BetMGM Online Casino, DraftKings Sportsbook, FanDuel Fantasy, PokerStars, BetRivers Casino. Multiple charges per day, some as small as $20, others reaching $300. All gambling. Every single one. April statement, $2,891.33. Same pattern, different days. Different sites, same addiction. May statement, $4,127.56. The amounts were increasing, the frequency accelerating, the spiral tightening. I found statements going back to February, each one worse than the last. The minimum payments were being made, barely, but the balances kept growing exponentially. The interest alone was crushing, compounding, creating debt that would take years to escape even if she stopped gambling immediately. My hands shook as I photographed everything with my phone. I wasn't thinking about divorce or confrontation or legal evidence. I was thinking about the woman I loved having a serious, destructive problem and apparently not feeling safe enough to tell me about it. I was thinking about how to help her, how to support her through what was obviously an addiction that had spiraled out of control. I spent the next 3 weeks researching gambling addiction obsessively. I read articles from psychology journals about the neurological basis of compulsive gambling. I browsed forums where people shared their recovery stories, the relapses and triumphs and ongoing struggles. I looked into local Gamblers Anonymous meetings, researched addiction counselors who specialized in gambling disorders, tried to understand the best approaches for intervention and support. I was trying to figure out how to approach this gently, how to offer help without judgment, how to be the supportive partner she clearly needed but apparently couldn't ask for. I never imagined she would force my hand like this. I never imagined she would choose to weaponize her platform against me before I could offer help. You know what? I said, pulling my phone from my pocket. My voice was steady, almost eerily calm, like I was watching myself from outside my body. Keep filming. Sarah's eyes narrowed with suspicion. What are you doing? Giving your followers context. I opened my Photos app, scrolled to the folder I'd created 3 weeks ago labeled simply, Statements. You wanted real talk? Let's talk real. Our apartment has a smart TV mounted on the wall, 65 inches of crystal clear display that we'd purchased together last year, splitting the cost exactly down the middle like we split everything. It was connected to our home network, and my phone was still paired to it from the previous week when I'd shown Sarah a YouTube video about kitchen renovation techniques. I selected the first photo, March's credit card statement, and tapped the airdrop icon. The TV flickered to life behind her, the statement filling the massive screen in perfect, damning detail. The account summary was right there for everyone to see, previous balance, new charges, current balance climbing into terrifying territory. The list of transactions scrolled down the screen, each one a piece of evidence that told the story she'd been hiding. BetMGM Online Casino for $250, DraftKings Sportsbook for $180, FanDuel Fantasy for $75, PokerStars for $300, BetRivers Casino for $125. On and on it went, charge after charge after charge. Sarah's face transformed in an instant. Color drained from her cheeks like someone had pulled a plug, her carefully maintained composure shattering like glass. She spun around, seeing the statement projected behind her in high definition, visible to every single person watching her live stream in that moment. What are you, she started, but her voice cracked, the performance falling apart. March's credit card bill, I said, maintaining that same eerily calm tone. That's $3,200 in gambling charges. Online casinos mostly. Some sports betting. All in 1 month. She lunged toward me, trying to grab my phone, her movements desperate and uncoordinated. I stepped back easily. She lunged again, stumbling slightly, her careful influencer polish completely abandoned in panic. I sent the next photo to the TV. April's statement appeared on screen, just as damning as the first. April, I narrated flatly. Another $2,800. Her phone, still recording, still broadcasting this disaster live to her audience, had tumbled onto the couch cushions. I could see the screen from my position, could watch the comment section absolutely exploding in real time. Wait, what is happening? OMG, is this real? She's been lying this whole time. I knew something was off about her. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen live. Speechless. Sarah was screaming now, all pretense of calm abandoned. Turn it off. Turn it off. You're ruining everything. You're destroying me. I'm ruining it? I sent the next photo. May's statement materialized on the TV, $4,100 in gambling charges, staring back at everyone watching. You've been gambling away thousands of dollars while telling your followers you're a financial wellness advocate. While creating content about responsible money management. While telling them that I'm the problem, that I'm controlling and abusive. But sure, I'm the one ruining things. She finally reached the TV, grabbed frantically for the remote on the entertainment center. Missed. Tried again, knocked it behind the TV stand where it clattered out of reach. She was in full panic mode now, all her practiced influencer composure completely shattered. I pulled up one final photo, the one I knew would be most devastating. Her secret savings account, the one she'd bragged about to her followers 4 months ago, showing off her $8,000 emergency fund as proof of her financial wisdom and discipline. Current balance, $127.43. You spent our rent money at online casinos, I said quietly, letting the words hang in the air like smoke. That's why it's not paid. That's why we're 5 days late and our landlord is texting me. And based on these statements, this has been going on since at least February. Maybe longer. She finally reached her phone, hands shaking so violently she could barely grip it properly. She jabbed at the screen, ending the stream, but we both knew the damage was catastrophic and irreversible. In the age of screen recording and instant sharing, nothing ever truly disappears from the internet. Her followers had witnessed everything, and they would make sure the world saw it too. We stood there in our living room for what felt like an eternity, the TV still displaying her depleted savings account, the ring light still blazing pointlessly, the pot of water I'd abandoned in the kitchen now boiling over with a hissing sound that neither of us moved to address. The apartment suddenly felt like a crime scene, evidence scattered everywhere, the careful facade of our life together lying in ruins. How long have you known? She asked finally, her voice small and broken, nothing like the confident influencer persona she projected online. 3 weeks. I found the statements by accident while looking for a stapler. Her eyes widened with something between betrayal and disbelief. 3 weeks. You've known for 3 weeks. And you were just waiting? Watching me? Gathering evidence? I was trying to figure out how to help you, I said, and I could hear the exhaustion in my own voice. I thought maybe you had a real problem, an actual addiction. I was researching counseling services, looking into treatment options, reading about intervention strategies, trying to figure out the right way to approach this without making you feel attacked or judged. I gestured toward the TV, toward the evidence still displayed there. But you decided to publicly humiliate me instead. You decided to call me abusive and controlling and financially manipulative to thousands of people who don't know me, don't know us, don't know anything except the carefully edited story you've been selling them. So here we are. She started crying then. Not the pretty, camera-ready tears she'd perfected for emotional content that generated engagement. This was an ugly, full breakdown. Mascara running in dark streaks, face blotchy and swollen, breath coming in gasping sobs that shook her whole body. I can stop, she choked out between sobs. I can fix this. I'll delete everything. I'll tell them I was wrong about you. I'll make it right. Just don't tell anyone else. Please. We can handle this privately. You already told 5,000 people, I said. They watched you try to gaslight me on camera. Then they watched me prove you've been lying about everything, your finances, your wellness advice, your whole brand, your entire online presence. It's done. There's no taking it back now. Her phone started buzzing incessantly. Messages, comments, DMs flooding in faster than the phone could process them. The stream had ended, but people were already screen recording, sharing clips, dissecting what they'd just witnessed, spreading it across every platform imaginable. Her carefully constructed narrative was collapsing in real time, and there was absolutely nothing she could do to control it anymore. I walked to our bedroom, grabbed my duffel bag from the back of the closet, and started throwing clothes into it without any real organization. T-shirts, jeans, underwear, socks, whatever I could grab quickly. Where are you going? She followed me into the bedroom, phone still buzzing relentlessly in her hand like an accusation. Hotel. I need space. I need time to think. We'll talk tomorrow when we've both had time to process this. We can fix this. We can work through this together. I left her sitting there on our bedroom floor, her phone screen illuminating her tear-stained face with an endless stream of notifications she didn't want to read, watching her entire carefully constructed world unravel because she'd forgotten the simplest truth: you can't control reality forever. You can only perform it for so long before the truth inevitably breaks through, and when it does, the fall is catastrophic. The hotel I checked into was 15 minutes from our apartment, a generic extended stay with a kitchenette and Wi-Fi and everything I needed to exist in limbo. I texted my boss that I was dealing with a family emergency and would be working remotely for a few days. Then I made the mistake of opening social media. The video was absolutely everywhere. Someone had screen recorded the entire 12-minute live stream and uploaded it to Reddit's Justice Served forum, where it hit the front page within 2 hours. From there it spread like wildfire across Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Someone had even made it into a reaction video on YouTube that was approaching 200,000 views and climbing. We'd become a case study in public exposure, a cautionary tale about social media performance and the dangers of building your identity on lies. The comments were absolutely ruthless. The way he just calmly showed the receipts, I'm screaming. She really thought she was exposing him and exposed herself instead. Financial wellness influencer with a gambling addiction is peak internet irony. This is the best plot twist I've seen all year. My jaw literally dropped when that TV lit up behind her. She played herself so incredibly hard. There were think pieces being written about parasocial relationships and the performative nature of social media authenticity. Psychology YouTubers were breaking down the interaction frame by frame, analyzing our body language and the manipulation tactics on display. We'd become entertainment, a spectacle, a story people told to illustrate bigger points about modern relationships and digital culture. My phone wouldn't stop ringing. Friends I hadn't talked to in months, distant relatives I'd forgotten existed, former coworkers from jobs I'd left years ago. Everyone wanted to know if it was real, if I was okay, what happened next, could they help? I ignored most of them, unable to explain that I didn't have answers to any of those questions yet. Sarah posted an apology video at 3 in the morning. She talked about going through something personal, about making mistakes, about working on herself and taking steps to get better. She hoped people would understand that everyone struggles sometimes. Not a single mention of gambling. No acknowledgement of the specific lies. No real apology to me or to the followers she deceived. Just vague influencer language about mistakes and growth and healing. Her follower count dropped in real time as I watched. 5,000 became 4,800. Then 4,500. People were tired of being manipulated, tired of being lied to, tired of being treated like props in her performance of authenticity. A week later, she ambushed me at work, waiting in the parking lot until my shift ended. She wanted to talk face-to-face, like adults. Against every instinct telling me to refuse, I agreed to coffee at a public place. She had talking points prepared on her phone. Literal bullet points she'd written out like this was a business presentation. She acknowledged having a problem with gambling. Then, incredibly, she suggested we'd both contributed to the situation, that my controlling behavior around money had made her feel like she needed to hide things. I actually laughed. I couldn't help it. The conversation deteriorated from there. She wanted couples therapy, wanted me to publicly support her recovery journey, wanted a joint statement saying we were working through things together. When I asked why I would do any of that, she said it was because we were married, because I supposedly loved her. I did love you, I told her. Past tense. But you lied to me for months, gambled away money we needed for basic survival, then tried to destroy my reputation on the internet to cover it up. Why would I help you save face now? Her family got involved. Her mother called me cruel and heartless, said I never deserved Sarah anyway. I blocked the number. Her brother showed up at my hotel making threats. Security escorted him out. They organized a family intervention, tried to convince my parents that I was the abusive one, that I'd orchestrated everything. My mother saw through it immediately and walked out. Then Sarah crossed the final line. She withdrew all the money from our joint checking account, not just her half, but mine too. $2,100 gone. Then she tried to open a credit card in my name. The application was denied, but the attempt was documented on my credit report. I filed a police report for identity theft. The officer who took my statement had seen the video. Everyone had seen the video. He warned me she'd probably claim I gave her permission, but I had documentation proving otherwise, texts about the separation, evidence of the withdrawn money, a clear paper trail showing we were not on cooperative terms. Sarah called me that night, frantic and furious. I told her I'd called the police, that attempting identity theft was illegal regardless of her desperation. She said she hated me, hated what I'd done to her. I told her to discuss it with her therapist and hung up.